I feel like I need the world to know that this is the second time I'm recording this intro, because this silly goose left the click track on. And not only did I leave it on whilst recording the first intro, but that also means I had left it on during my the whole interview with my upcoming guest. So it's another brain cell point to me. But anyway, let's get started again. If you're already up to speed, then you'll know what this is. If you're not, then please welcome to I'm Your Biggest Fan podcast, the podcast that chats to your favourite artists about their favourite artists. I'm your silly goose of a host, Jazmin L'Amy, in conjunction with the Noizze Podcast Network and sponsored by Satanic Tico. My guest today I'm very excited about because Marisa and the Moths is a name that's kind of like been floating around my immediate vicinity for a couple of years now. When I was at my first publicity job at Hold Tight, we did a bit of digital marketing for them. And then since then, I know Marisa and I have a couple of mutual friends and we know quite a few of the same people. So it was nice to finally sit and chat and talk, and most importantly, laugh our asses off together, like we did in this upcoming hour. But besides all of that, the band Marisa has decided to talk about is the early 2000s alternative rock band Flyleaf. Personally, I first heard of Flyleaf from the Guitar Hero soundtrack. So, and I didn't know anything else beyond then. So this chat is it's really fun because it really broadened my perspectives and my knowledge on this band. So sit back, relax, enjoy. We talk about kids and kidneys. You're going to have to keep listening to understand the context of that. Whether Christianity plays a part in if you see a band differently or if you don't see a band differently, and if that changes the influence and the effects of lyrical content on you, and straddling the line between fragility and ferocity. So yeah, sit back, relax, enjoy. Thankfully, I'm not that much of a silly goose, and I do have double recordings of all my visuals and audios, so hopefully there's no click track. Chat to you in a bit. Imagine if I just started recording and the first thing that said is, wait, I've got fur on my nose.
That's a very Marisa thing. This is what I've been told anyway. I'm a very silly person, so don't worry.
That's fine. It's the best way to be.
Hopefully. Otherwise I'm truly... wait, am I allowed to swear?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, then I am fucked if not then.
So I'm imagining you read the email, but this podcast is basically... I mean, I work in music full-time as a day job anyway, and I can imagine how, not always annoying, but how monotonous being a musician can get, doing the same interviews over and over during the same album cycles, same touring cycles. And the whole idea of this podcast is just to like take a little bit of a step back in time, back to when you were just starting to get into music and just discovering like that spark that it gives you. And I find that a lot of people have that one band that just changed everything for you. Like, it might not be your favorite band now, but at a very specific moment in time, it was like the be all and end all. So I wanted to just like bring the veil down, just go back to reminiscing about, you know, the reasons why you got into this industry and what set you on this journey in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And the band you've chosen to talk about today is Flyleaf.
Yep.
which I'm also excited about, because one of the things I like about doing these interviews is it forces me to delve into bands that have always like been on my periphery, but I've never gotten into.
Yeah.
So Flyleaf was one of those bands that I'd heard a couple of songs on the Guitar Hero soundtracks. And
Yes.
the ones I had heard, I think it was Fully Alive and Again. So what I want to know
Yes.
is, do you remember the first time you heard Flyleaf?
Yes, and it was a really random way to hear them, but I mean, kind of cool. Do you remember Transformers?
I do remember Transformers.
Yeah, so I went to go see that with my dad at the cinema because a way of us bonding when we were kids, just to go to the cinema and watch films like that. And it was like in quite an early scene, and is it Shia LaBeouf? Is that how you pronounce his name?
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, okay, cool. I'm glad I got it right. So he's doing something, I can't even remember what, but that song comes up in the background, and I was like, oh my god, what is that? It was like one of those like moments. Obviously just looked it up, ended up downloading the soundtrack and everything just for that one song, and that's what led me to them kind of thing, and I just was obsessed.
Do you remember what song it was that was in the soundtrack?
Yeah, sorry, I should have said that. I'm so sick.
Oh, yeah.
It's one where it starts off where she's really singing quite gently, and it's a very surprising moment when she breaks into this big scream, and it's like this really heavy riff, and you're like, oh my god, what a journey. I love music like that, and I mean, if you've heard any of my band stuff, then you probably hear it in how I write as well, because they really affected me from such a young age when I kind of started writing for this kind of purpose. So yeah, I absolutely love Flyleaf and Lacey Sturm, the lead singer in general, and her singing style also that inspired me with how I sing as well. Just because she's so emotive, and I don't think that there are many singers that can do what she does with her voice, kind of thing. The way that she can portray so many things in so little words. It's just, yeah, she's crazy talented.
Yeah, you mentioned there that as a kid, going to the movies was a way for you to like bond with your parents and stuff. So before hearing Flyleaf in the Transformers soundtrack, what were you kind of exposed to or listening to at the time before them?
So, well, my first rock concert that I ever went to was Evanescence, and
Yeah.
it's funny. Like I know I love Evanescence. I will forever love Evanescence. Same as Paramore, but the problem when people ask me who my favorite bands are, most of the time I refrain from saying them first, just purely because of the fact that people will always say, "Oh, you're in a rock band and you're a female singer, so you're like Paramore or Evanescence." So I almost like want to educate people of
Yeah.
there are other bands that exist other than those two. Obviously, it's amazing what they've managed to achieve, and they've kind of paved the way for other bands with female singers to kind of have their moment as well, because rock, obviously, as we know, is so male dominated. It has been. I bet that's changing, which is amazing. But yeah, I who doesn't love Evanescence and Paramore? Come on. But yeah, Evanescence, I saw them in London with my dad again. He was the more of the rock fan than my mum when I was younger. So he sort of introduced me to all the old school stuff, and we used to listen to Evanescence in the car all the time, just screaming the songs at the top of our voices, like trying to oversing each other type
Yeah.
thing. So yeah.
I love that. That's so wholesome.
I was a massive nerd when I was younger, to be honest. Like I was one of those fangirls type thing. Yeah, you know the type.
Oh yeah, we've all been there.
Yeah. I want to
So
ask you who your favorite band is, by the way, because I feel so awkward answering this and not asking you something back.
oh my god, mine is, so I have two for two very different reasons. The
Okay,
first one is Guns N' Roses.
nice.
They're the ones that kind of like changed everything for me when I was a kid. Um, and then like as I got a little bit older, I think the band that has had like the most current and everyday effect on me is Hailstorm.
Oh, Hellstorm.
I know, I
I
know.
absolutely love. Do you know what? I didn't get into them properly until a couple of years ago when we were doing a load of lockdown live streams, and fans were just asking us to learn all these different types of songs. And I hadn't like really, I'd heard of them but hadn't listened, and I don't know why, but as soon as I did, I was hooked as well.
Yeah.
And now she's queen. Lizzie is queen.
They're playing London on the 9th of December, and my birthday's on the 5th. So my dad's coming over and we're going for my birthday.
Oh, that's so sweet. It's no brainer. Oh, daddy and daughter as well. I love that.
Yeah, exactly. But but you mentioned there that obviously you were listening to Evanescence and Paramore before Flyleaf came along. But what was it specifically about Flyleaf that stood out against other bands like Evanescence and Paramore? Like, why were they the ones that, set off that like domino effect in you?
I think ever since I started singing when I was little, I was always told that I was very emotional. And obviously Amy Lee is super emotional, and same as Hayley Williams from Paramore as well. Like she has her moments too, even though obviously she's a bit more energetic overall. But it's just that Lacey Sturm, like the way she sings and how it's emotional in the way that she sings, I feel like I related to that more, and I was able to connect with that more. And I thought it was just a bit more like different sounding, and I liked that. I also like I sort of said earlier about the dynamic jumps, how sometimes it will just be her, and it'll sound like really stripped and fragile, and she'll be really quiet dynamically, and then she'll just burst at the seams and the music will follow her, and it's such a journey kind of thing. And so it moved me, not just because of their sound in terms of like how she sings and all the chorus and everything, but in a songwriting sense as well. And it was when I was around the age of 14, 15 when I actually started thinking I want to write songs seriously, because up until that point it was more I was writing melodies, and I wrote a lot of poetry. That's kind of how I started writing with words kind of thing, way before lyrics. So it's that what probably hooked me. It's the songwriting amazed me, along with the performance and the vocals as well.
Yeah, you mentioned well just there as well, like the dynamic in their vocals, because like as when I was listening to them recently for this, as I said before, like the only songs I really knew before this were the ones on Guitar Hero, like the mainstream, I guess, radio friendly ones, Fully Alive and Again. But since listening to their discography, I had exactly the same, I guess, like epiphany when I heard the song Chasm and Sorrow.
It's a banger.
Yes. I didn't know they could get that heavy. Yeah. And I feel like I had exactly the same reaction. Like I was listening to it and I was like, oh yeah, like this is nice. These melodies are nice and floaty and soft and fragile. And then like the heavy shit kicks in and I was like, where the fuck has this been all my life?
Yeah. It's like I feel like there's a song for every mood, which is so cool. And I love when albums do that in general with any artist. But yeah, they do that really well. If anyone that doesn't know Flyleaf, by the way, that's watching and listening right now, they did change singers after the first, I think it was the first 2, or maybe it was the first 3 albums. So, but Lacey's back working with them now, but she's also doing solo stuff on the side. And I actually didn't dislike the new singer that came in and replaced Lacey, because she left to go have her kids, and whilst they were really little. But it wasn't Lacey. That's it. And I feel like maybe a lot of the Flyleaf fans feel the same, because she left a print on my heart.
Yeah, I've become emotionally attached.
I was emotionally attached. Like, I mean, it's hard when somebody changes. If you really love a band and they change the guitarist or the drummer. I mean, early days of Paramore, when they changed their lineup for the first time or whatever, I was like, oh my god, that's it now. They'll never recover. Like, what's going to happen now? Oh my gosh, And it was fine. They picked up and they carried on. But Paramore without Hayley Williams isn't Paramore, is it? So yeah, I don't know. Different things, different scenarios for different bands, depending on, I guess, what that musician in the band represents. But in this case, everybody Miss Lacey. I think I don't think
Yeah.
it's just me.
I don't think Marisa and the Moths would be the same if it was Kevin and the Moths.
Yeah, you might have to. It doesn't have the same like je ne sais
Kevin,
quoi.
Kevin and the caterpillars.
Or the koalas.
Oh, that's true. I was going for the same like bug theme.
Actually, I like. Actually, you're right. Bugs. That's the way. That's the way. Oh dear.
But just going back to songs, I find so. For example, the first time I heard Guns N' Roses knowingly, it was "Welcome to the Jungle," and that has always remained my favorite song because of like how much weight it and influence it carries. But with Flyleaf, because the first song you heard was So Sick, has that remained your favorite song, or has that changed over time once you started to get more into them?
So I don't know. It's like every time I hear a song of theirs come on, especially from their first album, because that first album for me was the one that really that changed it all for me. Uh, so if I hear any of those songs come on, I'm like, oh my god, like it's my song type thing. And I've
Yeah.
made blown like long term friendships out of a shared love for that first album. Like recently, well, last year, I met this girl called Morgan who did some tattoos for me, and she always has music playing in the background, and she started playing Flyleaf, and just it was. It's a bit unusual that I actually come across people that are that into Flyleaf on the same level as me, and she is as well. So now we're like best friends. We're like connected for life over our love for Flyleaf. So
You,
um,
you should get matching Flyleaf tattoos.
I'm already going there. But yeah, I don't have any band sort of dedicated tattoos yet, and
Oh,
I
I'm
want to
covered in
get
them.
some. Yeah, I like stuff that's maybe like that if it was interlinked with something else. So I think I'd like a group of things done of my favorite bands rather than
Mm,
just the one type thing. So I'm thinking of that now and where to
yeah.
put it.
I like with band tattoos, I like the subtle ones. Like I would never get a band name tattooed on me.
Yes,
But if a band has a particular logo, like I've got the Hailstorm logo here. And
nice.
then I've also got the Appetite for Destruction cross.
Amazing. Well, you can't go
But
wrong with a cross, though, can you? Like,
exactly, and it's one of those band logos that like you only know who it is if you know who it is.
mm,
I've got a Maiden one as well, and an AC/DC one, and a Pretty Reckless one. And
nice. Oh, I love the Pretty Reckless. They're one of my favorites as well.
yeah, same. I got to work on their tour last year, and
Oh my God, that's
I
so
know
cool.
I was like, oh, little Jasmine's dreams have come true.
So, like, if you ever need a kidney, I got you.
Were you gonna say if you ever need like a kid, then like, where is this sentence
No, just
going?
like take it to like the next level. We are talking about fangirling, right? Like, I told you I'm a fangirl expert.
If you ever need a kid, let me be your surrogate mother.
Yeah, that's a good one, actually. Yeah. Oh my God.
I've lost my train of thought now.
Yeah. I love it.
What was my question?
You were talking about favorite songs and saying is I'm So Sick still the same
Yeah. Okay. So
favorite?
it's like basically anything from the first album.
Yes, basically. But I also have a real soft spot for the acoustic versions that they did,
Mm,
and would I got quite obsessively listen to them over and over as well, and it inspired me to do stripped versions of my songs with my band as well. Like I always, it kind of gave me some confidence in my writing as well, to be honest, because I thought, well, if you can take a full band song and make it like that, then if you write something acoustically, you could probably make it go the other way too. And that's actually how I write a lot of the songs, to be honest, is generally on acoustic, even like the heaviest songs,
mm,
weirdly. But yeah, because like an acoustic guitar, nice open tuning and stuff like that, it's really easy to feel creative.
yeah.
With less going on as well, it can give you space to think, and then you can build on it. So yeah, they've inspired me in so many ways. Talking about it, I'm like, I was worried that I wouldn't know what to say. I'm like, "Oh, I got this. Fangirling, fine, it's great."
It's this all this podcast is just fangirling for 45 minutes an hour. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I'd love to meet her, to be honest. Oh, sorry, carry on.
no, it's fine. So how old would you have been in 2005 when they released their self-titled?
Well, when I first heard it, I was about 13, 14, which I think it wasn't super old at that point. I'm gonna have to, I should know this, shouldn't I? But I'm terrible. Do you know what? I have to ask my partner when his birthday is on a regular basis. Like, I forget numbers, like they don't stay in my head. So, but yeah, I was around 13, 14 sort of age when I first heard that album.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a good age for hearing music that will impact you. I think I actually heard somewhere that when you're 14 is when you find the bands that will stay with you for the whole of your life, that you always go back to those bands. So
That checks out. I call them my comfort bands.
yes, yeah, definitely. Yeah, you can guarantee on any like long journey that I'm going to put on Flyleaf at some point.
I'm just thinking as well, because like they've only got 4 albums and there's like a nice chunk of time between each of them. I'm just thinking, like, when you would have gotten into Flyleaf, how many albums had they already had out, and how did you feel?
The one.
Just the one. So
Just the one, yeah.
So you were kind of there already into them when they then brought out the remaining 3.
Yes. So is it Memento Mori? Memento Mori? Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I saying that right?
Memento Mori, yeah.
Yes, there we go. Thank you. I have no confidence in myself today, apparently.
Can confirm.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so that album came out, I think I was about 16, 17. So, and I was working with my first guitarist that I was writing with. So it's like the first person that I sort of teamed up with to write songs and started gigging like my songs properly. So, and I was like, oh, we got to do a cover of Flyleaf. So we did an acoustic cover of I'm So Sick and All Around Me as well. And I think one of the ones off the new album, but we came that album all the time driving around to and from gigs and rehearsals and stuff. So yeah, it was such a good album. And I also performed, because again, I did that in my diploma end of year performance at ACM. Cool. Yeah, it was one of my 5 songs I picked or something. So
what were the other ones? Do you remember?
Yes, so I did Because of You by Skunk Anansie, which is maybe a less obvious song, but it's a banger. If you haven't heard it, check it out. It's a really good one. Her voice, I love Skunk Anansie. And Monster by Paramore.
Tune.
Yeah, and it was one of my songs, which I can't remember what it was called, which is terrible.
That's the one you should remember.
That's the one I should remember. But it was like one of those like early acoustic songs that I never like recorded type thing, Gosh, maybe it was only 4 then actually. It might have only been 4 that I did. Yeah, because it was like, you get a chunk of time and then you have to move on to the next person for exams type thing. But yeah, those were the songs I picked, and that was one of my favorite performances actually. Also because I felt like as soon as the Flyleaf song came on, I was like, I kind of just felt like I took Lacey Stone's energy and it carried me and gave me confidence on stage, which I had 0 of at the time, honestly. So yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. It's like nice when you get those songs and those bands, like I said before, like the comfort bands, the ones that just kind of like make you feel fuzzy inside and that like everything is going to be a-okay. Yeah,
exactly. Like you're a kid back in your bedroom and like nothing can hurt you.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. So you have mentioned there that obviously Flyleaf have quite a big impact and influence on your songwriting, and I think at this moment in time you've got 1 full-length album and an EP. So how has it changed influencing your writing over time? Because I find that, you know, especially when you're much younger and you're just starting to get into writing, you take a huge amount of influence before you then manage to like find your own feet. So how has that changed over time?
So I honestly, hand on heart, I think I had it drilled into me when I was in my teens and applying to be in bands that rejected me, said that they didn't want me because I was a girl or my voice was too clean and all this stuff, that I just eventually just thought I'm not supposed to do heavy music. I just love it, and I love rock and metal, but I'm not supposed to be that heavy. I have to be something a little bit less because I'm too much otherwise. And it wasn't really until my mid 20s when I got the confidence to start really doing what I love, which is rock, which is what Flyleaf influenced me to do in the first place, really. And obviously, when you start a new project, and the Moths, like I started 5 years ago, you begin a new process of learning and developing your sound anyway, then kind of thing. But it's so I say with the first album versus the EP we released, and then the new album that's coming out next year, it's definitely gotten like heavier. I think as we've gone through, which you could argue sounds maybe even closer to Flyleaf for that reason, because I didn't scream in the first album and I couldn't scream, but I then taught myself to, and so now album 2 has got that. And so I guess I'm answering this in the longest way possible.
That's all right, that's fine.
I'm still, as I kind of mentioned before, like the thing I love most about Flyleaf are the dynamic changes and the mixture of fragility and fierceness, and that is a massive part of what I consider my sound. But like you say, like it takes a while for you to find your own sound, and I feel like in a way I've kissed a lot of frogs. I've written a lot of songs. I've tried a lot of stuff, and now like this is my Prince. Like this band, this new album, this new music, where I'm at now. This is my Prince kind of thing. And it's because of Flyleaf and that spark and that light that they gave to me that it exists kind of thing. But it's also its own thing. Am I explaining that right?
No, that's fine. I totally get that. It's interesting you say that as well, because it's only been since you've just mentioned it. Like I'd heard some Marisa and the Moths material when I used to work at Hold Tight PR, and I think I think they do some like digital marketing for the Moths. So I'd heard some bits and pieces, and then the next kind of like song I heard was actually your collaboration with Sophie Lloyd. And I think
quite different.
Yeah. So like that's got some, if I remember correctly, that's got some like screamy shouty bits on it.
Yeah.
And then went back and listened to the debut album. So it makes sense now that you've mentioned it. I'm like, oh, I can hear that now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I think the thing that I've always been held back by, honestly, is my own self-doubt and like thinking that my ideas are too much and I can't possibly be able to do that. But for some reason, I still keep trying to do them anyway, and eventually I'll get there. Yeah. But I just think as well, like there's a lot of pushback on women in this industry, and it takes longer almost for you to find your feet, because it's almost like you're made to feel like you shouldn't be here, and we have to really fight to be here. So yeah, I feel grateful to have kind of developed the way I have to this point. The Sophie song was a bit different though. I tried to go for something a bit more out there, Yeah. I wouldn't usually be ad-libbing and trilling and doing all that crazy stuff as well as the screaming in one song, but it felt like with everybody else in the album, Lizzie Hell and all the crazy singers that are amazing, to be able to sing alongside them on that album was amazing. It was just I have no words, and I had to pull out the big guns. So I thought, right, it's balls to the wall, let's do this. So whereas obviously with whilst our new album's definitely heavier, and I think people are going to be a bit surprised at it in that sense, as well as like there's some more poppier songs on there too. It's a bit of like a mental breakdown, if that's a good way of describing it. Like, it's
Sounds like my kind of album.
yeah, like, because I hate it when like you buy an album and every song is basically the same, and then they have the token a strip song, and then it's the same song again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're like, oh,
Yeah,
I
especially because
feel,
like I'm such an albums girl. Like
yes,
when I listen to new music, I will listen to an entire album and I'll listen to it in the order it was intended. So
amazing.
so
I'd
yeah.
love to show you our album if you'd be up for like a little cheeky listen.
Yes, of course, always.
I'm such a yes queen.
I mean, I wasn't gonna ask, but if you're offering, I'm not saying no.
You know what? Like, it's one of those. You get to a point where, you've heard the song so many times in making them that actually you'd be helping me. I think just to like tell me if it's actually good anymore. Because you're like, I believe in this fully, and I'm like, oh my god, are people gonna like this? Like, you start freaking out. Like,
Yeah, it's there's the voices in your head again.
yeah, for sure.
So where were we? Oh yeah, so on top of all of that, so you got into, as you were saying before, you got into Flyleaf at a really good time. Like they already had this debut album out that launched them into the stratosphere immediately, but then you were also into them as they were bringing out new material as well. So did you ever manage to catch them live at all?
I did, and that's actually kind of a fun part of this story, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, I went to go see them in London Islington Academy
Oh, nice.
with
What a venue
a
for it
guy.
as well.
Yeah, it was because it's not too big. So I was
Mm.
like, oh my God, I'm going to be actually able to see them. And all of this, I was like losing my shit, telling everyone that I was going to go see Flyleaf. It was on a date as well with this super cute guy at the time. So I was like, best night ever. Cheeky Nando's before.
Fuck
So,
yeah.
yeah, I know, right? So we get in there and I'm like absolutely buzzing. And she comes on the stage and obviously I'm just like elated. Anyway, she starts talking about God.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea that they were a religious band, and that makes me such a bad fan. I had no idea. I heard the songs the way I think I needed to hear them, and
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what made me think, oh my God, they're even more awesome than I thought. Because how amazing of a skill is that? That I heard these songs, I thought they were about mental health and life
Mm.
experiences and emotions in like a deep way that had nothing to do with like a religious thing, and for them it's worship, and
Mhm.
you would never know if someone hadn't have told you. I don't think, because people make references to God and the devil in a poetic way all the time. Do you know? So
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that just because you're talking about the devil in the song that you worship Satan, you know. So yeah, it was a bit of like a, oh my God, well, I feel terrible. How did I not know that?
It's
But
very
now I do.
subtle.
Yeah, it is, right? But yeah, she's super, super Christian. They all are, and amazing. Good on them. I'm atheist, but obviously nothing against that, just to be absolutely clear. But yeah, it was just honestly just a shock because,
Mm.
like I say, I thought it was about something completely different. What do you know?
Well, that was going to be one of my next questions because I also never realized Flyleaf were labeled as a Christian band. So going back to like all your thoughts that you had when you first heard them and how much it spoke to you in a way you needed it to speak to you at a time it needed to speak to you, did
Yeah.
your not opinion change on them after that, but did the songs take on an entire new meaning every time you listened to them after that?
So honestly, I feel like it's almost like I could hand on heart say I was kind of in love with her and with them already because I was so devoted as a fan that it didn't matter because I'm not judgmental like that anyway. There was a maybe a millisecond where I thought, oh no, it's not what I thought it was. Like, does it mean the same? And I was like, of course it means the same. And then I just wanted to hear it in like listen again and try and hear it through her, like, see it through her eyes and hear it through her ears type thing, and think like what it must have meant to her.
Yeah.
And so it was like a new way of experiencing it rather than taking that away, because it was still a gift to me, like me not knowing, my ignorance, it was bliss. But it didn't change anything in that sense for me. It was just like, oh, okay, this is just new information. And I kind of got closer I felt closer to her as a fan by knowing more about, I keep saying her because like they're not a band. It's not that, it's just obviously I worship the ground that Lacey walked on. So, you know. So I guess I worship too, just
Yeah.
them.
We have a different version of God.
Yes.
Yours is Lacey, mine is Lizzie Hale.
Yes. Oh no, but you know, I think, are you allowed to worship multiple gods? Some religions do that, right?
Yeah.
I feel like then that I worship Lizzie too. Just in case you're watching this.
Oh my god. If Lizzie watches this, then Lizzie, can I please get you on this podcast as well?
I thought you were like, Lizzie, can I please carry your child?
That too. You can have my kid and my kidney if you really want it.
I love how weird this has got. You should just quote that when you're sharing this podcast. Take my kid and my kidney. Perfect. I'd listen.
Interview about Flyleaf. How the fuck does that fit into the context? Listen to find out. So yeah, I guess you would say that, you know, finding out that all Flyleaf songs are based mainly in religion, it didn't change your opinion, it just like expanded it.
Yes, it is. Sorry, I just have to interrupt you there for 1 second. I'm very distracted by your Nicolas Cage. I feel like he's staring at me right now. Like, I may just noticed him now.
I will move.
Nicolas Cage, is that tinsel around his neck as well? That's genius.
So,
oh my god.
Actually, you'll know this. So I'm also really good mates with Hawks.
Yes.
And their ex-bassist Iman is one of my best mates and one of my housemates as well. And
oh, is she? Oh,
yeah, cool. Very small world.
Yeah.
But, she's obsessed with Nicolas Cage, and one of her friends sent her a cardboard cutout as a surprise. And it was my job to hide it from her when she got back from America a few months ago. And now, just as a household, we have this thing where we hide him in really random places and try and scare each other. It's just like all our social media has become is just us taking videos and being like, I got caged, he was in the shower.
I got caged.
So yeah, now he has tinsel on him.
Oh, I absolutely love that. That's so random. Sorry. If you could just repeat the question and I will happily answer. Thank you for letting me know what that was.
That's all right. I might need to, this is the second time this has happened, I might need to remove him next time.
Oh no, it's amazing, honestly. That's made my night.
So the question, well, I guess statement was, I guess you could say that finding out that Flyleaf songs were based more in religion didn't change your opinion, it just expanded it.
Yeah, basically it's just a new way of listening to it. Have you ever had a song that you really love or an album you really love and it's been like a grower on you because you've listened to it and you've been like, yeah, I like it, but then you listen to it a few more times and it's like, depending on the mood that you're in the day, like it can hit you and take you a different way. Or maybe there's like an album or an artist that you listened to before and you didn't like them, and then later in your life you listen to them again and now they're one of your favorite bands. And I just feel like that's the power of music, isn't it? And it connects with you on an emotional level, so it really does depend how you feel or where you're at in your life as to how you're going to take that music in the first place. Yeah. But if you already love something, you're already committed to it anyway. When you it's like peeling a layer off, getting that information, and then you're just looking at it like in finer detail, and it's a new experience, but it's like you're just experiencing it again, kind of thing. I don't know. hopefully that explains that, right?
Yeah, no, I get that. It is like, as someone explained, was it today or yesterday? Like when you get COVID and you lose your sense of smell or taste, and you don't realize until the next time you taste or smell something, and you get like a newfound appreciation for it. 'Cause it's like the first time you're smelling or
Yeah.
tasting it again. It's like the first time you're hearing it again.
I can totally understand that. That's
Such
such
a weird
I love
metaphor.
I love how COVID's just become like a part of every day in that sense. That's so funny. Yeah. That makes sense though. That does make sense.
I kind of had the same thing with like Slipknot and heavier music. Like when I was younger, so like my dad's a really old school rocker. Um, like his favorite band is Iron Maiden, and if it's not Iron Maiden, it's shit. And for so long, I like held his opinions as my own, and a lot of my boyfriends when I was younger were into heavier music than me. And I think because it was like shoved down my throat, I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. I thought it was horrible. Didn't understand why they were screaming all the time. And then it wasn't until lockdown 2020 that I decided to review Lamb of God's self-titled album that like it just kind of like
Get
made
straight in there.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
I love it.
it was like my gateway band, and then I went and listened to Slipknot again, which I had heard so many times before, and it just like never clicked. And I was like, oh, I get this now.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because I got an angrier over time. Like I could relate to it more, but
Maybe I just think maybe as when we're younger, we're just very influenced by our parents
mm,
and also the media. And like as you get older, you have the space to think for yourselves. But like you say, like if something's just shoved down your throat and you've been told one thing, it's
mm-hmm.
like it's your comfort, isn't it? So it's like somebody saying, "Oh no, you should try this." It's almost like you're trying to take that away from me. No, no, no. You
Yeah,
know?
no, thank you.
Yeah. I mean, one of the bands that I had that with was System of a Down.
Oh yeah.
I did not like them when I was younger at all. Like I liked heavy music from about the age of 14 and went through a real like death metal phase and
Mm.
then went off it and then I've kind of just been into everything ever since then. But yeah, so I did not like his voice. The voice grated at me and I didn't
Mm-hmm.
get the music. And now, having listened to him again in the last few years, I'm like, oh my god, this is genius. This is
Yeah.
amazing. It's hilarious. It's everything it should be. It's great. And I did a cover of like a vocal cover of Aerials.
Mm-hmm.
I think like last year or something, and that was like around the time actually when I really like got it. Just clicked, and I was like, oh my god, where have I been? Like,
Yeah.
and it was all over Peter, my other half. He started playing one of their songs on acoustic, and I was like, oh, what is that? It's really nice. It was like System of a Down. I was like, shut up. No way. I didn't believe him, and then I
Yeah.
was just like, oh, I just haven't really listened to them because I wasn't opening my mind. Like I didn't want to hear it, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, but that's why it's so cool, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting there that you said that it wasn't until we started playing it on acoustic that it kind of like made you appreciate it. Because I've had the same thing with one of my one of my mates' bands. Don't tell him. Um,
Name and shape, no joke. No, I'm joking.
I've told him before, and it's like it doesn't quite make sense on record. I think because it's everything all at once, and it can be like really overwhelming, especially with heavy music. And it wasn't until I went to one of his band rehearsals where it was like just half the band, and I was just watching them play, and it made more sense, and I appreciated it more because I was like I could listen and watch like the individual instruments doing their own thing, so that
Yeah.
when I did went back and listened to it, like appreciating each bit individually then made me appreciate the thing as a whole, because then it like all clicked and made more sense that way.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. But I feel like what you've said there as well maybe highlights the importance of recordings in the first place, and
Mm.
how maybe the recording or the producer that worked on it didn't capture that live essence, the clarity that you're describing that you felt when you saw them play, like that didn't come through in the record, because I think that happens. I think it happens all the time, and I think that's why when you go to watch someone live, it can be where you fall in love with them, and then if you already like a band from seeing them live, you'll probably forgive the recording because you already know, like you know what it's supposed to sound like. It's like your brain will fill in the gaps. But if your first experience is the recording and it doesn't quite hit the nail on the head, that might be the last time that you want to interact with that. Do you know?
Yeah, no, I get that as well. I much prefer like seeing bands in a live setting anyway, because I don't know, I get into bands more when I feel like I'm a part of them, or I feel like I like them as people. It just kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like expands all of the feelings that I'm already feeling.
Exactly. Yeah. It makes it more personable and relatable. But I mean, that's kind of like what you just said is the reason why I wanted to be in a band in the first place and didn't want to be a solo artist, is because even though I'm the driver and everything else, like it's like I just feel like there's a sense of community and camaraderie that comes with being in a band, and the kind of people that are into bands as well, and that they're my kind of people.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So yeah.
Yeah, I get that. So going back to seeing Flyleaf live, was it only the one time you've seen them, or have you seen them more since then?
Unfortunately, it has only been the one time, because after that, I don't think I was able to afford to see them. And then obviously Lacey left, didn't she? And then she came back like this year. But I wanted to see Lacey live, but her solo stuff is quite recent anyway, and she does a lot of touring in the US, but like they haven't come over to the UK for ages as a band, or Lacey. So I actually the other week was like looking like, where is she gigging in the US that maybe I could try and get a cheap flight to? Like I can't really afford to go, but what if like she never comes to the UK? Then I have to see her.
Yeah.
And I was just like trying to figure it out, and I was like, why is it so damn expensive to go to Texas?
Oh, it's so expensive. So I'm actually I'm going to America for the first time in January with a friend, and we're doing like bits and pieces. So we wanted to fly one way in and then one way back out from elsewhere. So return flight from Nashville, return flight is £700.
Yeah,
Great.
Nashville's bad.
Makes sense.
Oh, right. That's good, is it? Okay.
That's good.
It wasn't great.
One way, £2,000.
Whoa!
What the fuck? It's cost us less to do the return flight plus all the internal flights that we were going to do. It's cost us half the amount from just one-way flight into Nashville. They really do not want us to stay there.
No. Yeah, I feel like sometimes it's also because of the whole new surge pricing thing, though. Like, I even noticed it just, anyone that's watching and listening to this now, with touring recently, like, I book all our accommodation and things, and I was just, like, looking at a Travelodge for our Edinburgh show that we had, and I was like, okay, the family rooms, like, they're pretty reasonable, like, compared to other places in Edinburgh, it can be pretty pricey. If anyone's been there, they know. And I was like, oh, it's all right. I'll get a couple of those then. Oh, wait, we don't need a family room. I'll get a double room. And when I clicked on the double room, it was like twice the price of the family room. And I was like, how does that work? Because I could fit more people in the family room than I could the double room. And I just thought, well, I want to just get another family room then. And so I just thought, so surge pricing doesn't even just work when a place is already filling up, or tickets are selling on, that's when it tends to happen. It happens as well, like individual types of things, so like the type of room in a hotel, or maybe the type of ticket. It seems crazy.
It's madness.
Must be the same with flights.
Makes sense. I think as well, like, because it's America, I just don't think they want you staying.
Yeah. Yeah,
they're like, we want to make sure you're leaving.
Yeah.
So one other thing I want to talk about is, personally, I'm a huge fan of band merch.
Nice.
When you got into Flyleaf, I'm imagining that you maybe bought like a couple of physical CDs, maybe. Did you buy any other type of merch?
I bought the CDs, honestly, like I was like a bit of a poor kid. And at the time that I found out about them, I'd also been going to other concerts, and like I quite regularly go to like, the cheap local shows and things. But I'd been to see who is it, like Yumi at Six, Paramore, Kids in Glass Houses, like all in London and things. So it was like I had to make sure I had enough money to get to the gigs as well, and they were my priorities, the gigs and then merch kind of thing.
Yeah.
So but yeah, like I mean, nowadays, yeah, if I love a band, then I go out of my way to make sure I buy the merch. Like I don't even really listen to vinyl, but like I fell in love with Sleep Token recently, so I
Hmm.
bought their vinyl with a jumper and the CD and then two t-shirts. So I was like,
Making
okay,
up for
I love
lost
them.
time.
Yeah, yeah. And I also want to get some Spirit Box merch now, because I've decided that I listen to them too much. Like, it gets to the point where I'm like, if they become that much, like, if they're on my playlist that much, then I need to like support them.
Yeah.
You know.
I had
Um,
I had the same experience with Spirit Box. They didn't click with me on records, and then I went to go see them fairly recently, actually, at the Roundhouse a couple of months ago
oh,
now.
I almost went to that.
Oh my god, it was like it's been a while since a band has like blown me the fuck away like that. And especially when I go see live shows, I love like the performance, like the
Yeah.
visual aspect. That's why I go to live shows. And like they had a wraparound screen, and oh my god, I'm just like this
Oh,
was a
like so it's
religious
like all
experience.
like futuristic, like their music videos type thing, like all
Yeah,
like
kind
lights and
of.
things.
There were like, oh, it was everything I love. There was pyro. I'm a sucker for pyro, and it was just like, oh, I can't even explain it. I was with my housemate Will, who writes for Metal Hammer, and he's like just a huge music nerd as well. And he's one of those people that's been trying to like bang it into me that like I need to get into Spirit Box. And I was with him watching it, and like halfway through, I was like, man, why did you not bring me here sooner? I get it now.
Yeah. Oh man, like she is a goddess as well. Like
Yeah. I
I
was
love
like, I
her.
think I'm in love with Courtney.
Yes. Oh yes. No, I'm absolutely like in awe of what they do. To be honest, I think it's so cool, and they get another female rock band beast that are paving the way for more amazing artists. I say that because I still feel like it's like we're still fighting for our place,
Hmm.
to be respected on the same level, and for it to just be normal that some bands have guy singers, some bands have girl singers, or female musicians as well, or they mixture. I mean, drag queens, I don't care. Like it
Hmm.
just shouldn't be just men. It should be
Yeah.
whoever fucking wants to play rock music and be in a band should have the same opportunities, and they're shown it can be done, and that's awesome.
Yeah. I definitely feel like, I mean, both like in music and as part of the wider music industry, I feel like as women, you either have to be like a stone cold hearted bitch, or you have to be soft and sweet. And it like a lot of people can't handle both and the
Mm.
duality. It's like it like short circuits their brain. You're like, what? No, you can't be like strong and powerful, but also like really nice and sweet. And there's no, it's got to be one or the other. I'm like,
Yeah,
there is
you
a
gotta be a
nice middle
damsel in
ground.
distress. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I feel like it's the same in music as well. Like, it's, yeah, especially on the heavier spectrum of stuff with like a lot of the women that can do like screamy vocals. It's like some guys can't handle the fact that like if you do screamy vocals and you sound aggressive, you also have to look that way. Otherwise, it
No,
doesn't make
I love
sense.
the contrast.
Yeah,
Yeah,
me
that's
too.
amazing about Lacey Sturm though, because she screams, but she's so like little and like petite and sweet. I mean, she's so like she uses her hands and so like I swear like she sings with her body. Like,
Mm.
if you get the chance to see her perform live, honestly, incredible. I mean, the thing if I'm completely like hand on heart honest, like obviously as a singer, I listen to things like pitchiness and stuff like that. But yeah, she's not pitch perfect as a singer live. Do I care? No, because it just doesn't matter. It's one of those, like, it really just doesn't matter. Her performance is everything, and it carries it. And there's moments where it's not perfect. It makes it even better in a weird way. That makes any sense?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
That's why it's one of the reasons why I love like rock and heavy music, and like why I fell in love with it in the first place is like it's not perfect. It's jagged and rough around the edges and perfectly imperfect, which is
Yeah.
what I also like about seeing bands live. It's that, and I really like it as well when bands like when they record stuff, they do it in like one take and they like keep the little tiny little mistakes in it because it's just that's what music is. Like you can't go and create something perfect and then expect to recreate it night after night after night after night. So it's
Oh
nice
yeah.
when it's got those little like personal bits.
Definitely. I mean, one of, like, what you just said, I resonate with so much, and it's one of the reasons why, like, some of our recording took a bit longer, because we didn't do it as like a all in the same spot at the same time. Like, we did that for the guide tracks type thing, and then re-recorded everything one by one so that we could control the sounds, and we've added some electronic bits in some places as well. And in order to keep all that clean and audible, like, it needed to be recorded in a controlled way. However, whereas like a lot of modern music and modern rock music does now, and I'm not saying metal as well, because I feel like with metal music you need the drums to be tighter in order for it to make sense with so much going on, it being so fast. But with rock music, when the drums are all gridded to be perfectly in time, and the actual drum sounds are replaced with samples that weren't even the original kit, a mixture is fine because you need that for consistency of sound. But it just makes everything just sound the same and dead, and there's no movement. How are you supposed to tell that drummer A is drummer A and drummer B is drummer B, drummer C, etc.? Like, there's just no individuality or personality in it anymore. So one of the things that I'm really proud of from what we've done with our new album, which is that we basically recorded it and we comped it where it was needed. And then if it was like something that was really out, we would nudge it a tiny bit. But it would only be because he got excited and maybe played one beat a little bit fast. So we nudged it a tiny bit. But we kept it feeling live, and then we played to that. So it feels like how we actually perform live, you know? Because I love our drummer and I want people to hear his drumming, not computer.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah. So I'm like, fight the power.
Yeah. No, I agree. I completely wholeheartedly agree as well. I mean, like it's probably the same as most people. Like that's the reason I fell in love with certain bands as well. Like you can hear the personality in individual people's playing.
Well, you love older bands, don't you? And
Yeah.
they wouldn't have had that option to like grid it with a computer to the like the in the way that they do it these days. And you know a band from hearing it from back then, because you could hear all those minute details, like the differences between, kind of thing. So
Yeah. So I have just a couple more questions for you. I won't keep you too much
no
longer.
worries.
So as we mentioned slightly earlier before, Lacey has come back recently. So they've not actually released any new music since 2014.
Yeah.
Do you know if there's like, and I know they've been like teasing some stuff on their social medias. Do you know if they've gonna have new music coming? And if they did, what would you hope it would sound like? What do you want out of a new Flyleaf record?
I want something that's like a cross between the first and second album, honestly. I think heavy would help them right now, because also it like, but that original sound with Lacey, that's what the OG fans want as well. But it's kind of really relevant now, and I think that they would fly with it. But Lacey's just, I know, right? Lacey's just released a new solo album the other day, which I think she was working on for a bit, like through lockdown and everything. And I think her joining Flyleaf maybe came after. I don't know the full ins and outs of how that's happened, like kind of at the same time. But I looked on both of their websites, because I've been like, I'm always looking to see when they're coming. Like, they're going to come to the UK, please. If you're watching this, Flyleaf, come to the UK, please. And also let my band support you, please. Thank you. Love you forever. EXO. But yeah, so Lacey's going on tour again around the US and that. Haven't seen any dates for Flyleaf yet, but they are doing some festivals together, and it says like Flyleaf featuring Lacey Stem at the moment. But I don't know if that's just because she's doing her solo stuff, so she wants to like lead people to that so that they know her name if they hadn't heard of her before. And then I reckon next year. I reckon we're going to find out early next year. That's what I'm hoping for, because that's what it's pointing towards. But they're keeping quiet about it at the moment, which is frustrating because I'm like, I want to know.
Yeah.
They've got to be like. I've seen so many clips of her like in the studio and stuff, like recording, but it's just hard to tell if it's just her solo stuff or if she's doing some other bits as well. But I think when they come back, they'll need to come back with a bang to have that real impact after such a big break kind of thing. And I think it's going to be awesome, and I think it'll be heavy, and that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Well, that was all I had for you. So thank you for chatting with me about Flyleaf. This has been fun. Thank you for listening to I'm Your Biggest Fan. If you enjoyed what you heard, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, send it to your nan in the post. Every little helps. You can follow us everywhere at biggestfan_pod. Follow me everywhere at Wrathchild_Jazz. Noizze at Noizze UK on everything. Noizze Podcast Network at Noizze Podcast Network on everything. And Satanic Tico at Satanic Tico and at Pitch Black Nor. If you have a band member in mind that you think would be perfect for this podcast, perfect for this topic of conversation, or maybe you are the band member and you're the super fan, drop us a comment, drop us an email. All other info can be found below in the description. And thanks again for listening. We'll catch you soon.